I never thought much about respect, not the kind people talk about, not the kind demanded, the quieter kind, the kind that grows when people remember who carried things when nobody was watching. By the time Penelope entered my son's life, I had spent nearly 20 years building a home that looked ordinary from the outside. Nothing impressive, a modest house, a worn dining table, cabinets repaired more times than replaced, family photographs that had survived moves, illnesses, and years that were harder than anyone knew. My son Daniel grew up there, every promotion I declined so I could stay close when he needed me, every bill paid. Every holiday meal stretched beyond what I could afford. All of it was stitched into that house. Penelope saw none of it. At first, her comments seemed harmless. This table is really old. The kitchen feels cramped. I'd never decorate a living room this way. She would smile afterward, as though honesty itself were a virtue. I smiled back, not because the comments didn't bother me, because I didn't think they mattered. Daniel looked happy. That felt more important. But over time, the comments stopped sounding like observations. They became judgments. When relatives visited, Penelope would explain how she would redesign rooms. She referred to family traditions as outdated habits. She laughed once when I served a recipe that had belonged to my mother. I guess some people just don't like change. The room went quiet. I remember hearing forks against plates. Nobody answered. Neither did I. That silence became a mistake because people often confuse restraint with agreement. Months passed. Penelope grew more comfortable. Daniel grew quieter. Whenever tension surfaced, he would change the subject. I understood why. Nobody wants to feel trapped between a parent and a partner. Still, something was changing. The house no longer felt like a place we shared. It felt like a place being evaluated, measured, found lacking. One afternoon, I overheard Penelope speaking to a friend in the kitchen. She didn't know I was nearby. "If we're being honest," she said, "Daniel needs to stop letting the past control everything. Eventually, this place will become ours anyway." The words weren't shouted. They didn't need to be. I stood in the hallway holding a basket of laundry. For a moment, I simply stared at the wall, not angry, just surprised, because she wasn't talking about furniture. She wasn't talking about decorating. She was talking about ownership, entitlement, a future she had already imagined for herself. That night, I almost confronted her, almost. Instead, I went to bed. The next morning, life continued. Weeks later, a family gathering brought everyone together for my brother's retirement celebration. The house was full. Laughter drifted through rooms. Children ran through hallways. For a few hours, things felt normal. Then came the comment. Someone complimented the dining room. Penelope laughed softly. "Well, if Daniel and I ever get control of this place, it won't look like this anymore." Several people looked up. The words hung there. Not cruel enough to cause a scene, not innocent enough to ignore. I saw my brother lower his glass. I saw my sister exchange a glance with her husband. Even Daniel looked uncomfortable, but again, nobody spoke, including me. The turning point arrived 3 weeks later. It came in the least dramatic way imaginable. Paperwork, a meeting, a lawyer years earlier. After my husband's death, financial planning had become necessary. The house, family trust documents, and future property arrangements had all been legally organized. Most relatives knew this. Daniel knew parts of it. Penelope knew almost nothing. The meeting involved several family matters unrelated to her, yet she attended because she assumed she would naturally be part of future discussions. For most of the meeting, she sat confidently. Then the attorney began reviewing documents. Everything changed. The house was not scheduled to transfer automatically. Major decisions required conditions that had been established years before. The family trust protected the property, preserved family assets, and ensured decisions remained tied to responsibilities rather than assumptions. The attorney explained it calmly, professionally, fact after fact, no emotion, no judgment. Just reality. I watched Penelope's expression shift, not because she was being attacked, because she was hearing for the first time the history behind things she had dismissed, the mortgage years, the legal planning, the caregiving responsibilities, the financial sacrifices. The house had not simply existed. Someone had built stability brick by brick. The attorney eventually turned to me. "These arrangements were possible because of the years you spent maintaining the property and supporting the family." It wasn't praise, just a statement, but it landed heavily. The room became very quiet. Nobody argued. Nobody challenged the facts. There was nothing to challenge. For the first time, authority had spoken where patience had remained silent. Afterward, Daniel walked with me to my car. Neither of us spoke immediately. Then he said something I still remember. "I don't think I realized how much you carried." I nodded. Not because everything was fixed, because honesty had finally entered the conversation. Some realizations arrive years late. Penelope never apologized directly, at least not in the way people expect. The comments stopped. The assumptions stopped. A distance appeared where certainty had once existed, and strangely, that was enough. Respect that arrives late cannot erase old wounds. It cannot return years of being overlooked, but it can change what happens next. Today, the table is still there, the same scratches, the same chairs, the same memories. When people gather around it, I sometimes look at those marks in the wood and think about how easy it is to mistake something old for something weak. They are not the same thing. Some things endure precisely because they have already survived more than anyone can see. And sometimes the strongest response is not proving your worth. It is allowing the truth to stand on its own when the moment finally arrives.